It's kind of wild to think about how just one new material can literally change the world. Today, we're diving into an invention that didn't just give us better tools. No, it built empires, it sparked global trade, and it completely redefined the ancient world. We're talking about bronze.
Okay, but before we jump right into bronze, let's set the stage a little. For thousands of years, the rise and fall of civilizations often came down to the materials they had. So, think about it. Long before steel was even a thing, what was the one metal that gave armies their edge and kings their power?
To really get why bronze was such a massive deal, you gotta understand the world it was born into. Man, let me tell you, it was a world built on stuff that had some pretty serious limitations.
For ages, it was all about stone and wood. Then, copper comes onto the scene, and it's a huge leap forward. I mean, you could hammer it, melt it, pour it into molds. It was a total game changer. But, and this is a big but, it wasn't perfect.
And this was its Achilles heel. It was just too soft. Imagine trying to chop down a tree with an axe that gets dull after a few hits. Or worse, going into battle with a sword that literally bends. It just wasn't going to cut it for anyone with big ambitions, like building an empire. They needed something better.
And what they came up with, wow, it was a deliberate, absolutely brilliant invention. See, this wasn't something you could just dig out of the ground. It had to be engineered. You could even call it the world's very first super material. And that material was bronze. Now, bronze is an alloy, which is really just a fancy way of saying it's a metal cocktail. You take mostly copper, like 90%, and you mix in a little bit of tin. And the result? Something way stronger than either metal on its own. Now think about that. This is the moment humanity shifts from just using what nature provides to actively transforming it. That's a huge leap.
And the upgrade was night and day. Seriously, bronze is harder, it's way more durable, and, this is key, it holds a sharp edge for so much longer. It was even a bit easier to cast into complicated shapes. The bottom line is, with bronze, your tools and your weapons were suddenly in a completely different league.
So this is a story about way more than just better knives and spearheads. This new material literally laid the foundation for the great empires of the ancient world. We're talking about Egypt, Babylonia, you name it. It reshaped entire societies from the ground up.
Let's start with the basics, right? The daily grind. The stuff that keeps a civilization fed, housed, and running.
Bronze completely revolutionized everyday work. A bronze-tipped plow could break up tough soil that a wooden one couldn't touch, which meant more food. Bronze chisels and saws meant you could do much more sophisticated work with stone and wood. It's a perfect example of how one breakthrough lets you feed more people and build bigger, more impressive cities.
And of course, this kind of progress didn't just stay on the farm. It was pretty much inevitable that a material this tough would find its way onto the battlefield.
I mean, think about it. If your army shows up with bronze weapons and the other army doesn't, it's not going to be a fair fight. Your spearheads don't shatter. Your swords don't bend. That kind of military advantage gives the state, the king, immense power to expand, to defend, and to control its people.
But bronze wasn't just about utility in war. Because it was rare, valuable, and could be made into beautiful objects, it quickly became a massive status symbol.
In the right hands, bronze became pure art. Artisans created these stunning statues of gods and rulers, intricate bowls, even polished mirrors. If you owned bronze objects, it sent a very clear message to everyone. You were powerful, you were wealthy, and you had access to the cutting-edge technology of the day.
So we've seen what you could do with bronze, which is pretty amazing. But the story of how they even made the stuff is maybe even more important. Because making bronze didn't just create objects, it created the world's first truly global supply chain.
This quote really nails it. Just imagine waking up tomorrow to a brand new material that's just better at everything. It would change a massive number of things we do every single day. Well, for the ancient world, bronze was exactly that kind of material.
And getting your hands on it was a seriously complex process. It took a whole system of specialized workers. You needed miners to dig up the copper, you needed traders to travel far and wide to find that scarce tin, and then you needed those highly skilled smiths who knew the secrets to smelting and casting it all together.
And here is the real kicker. Copper and tin are almost never found in the same place. So if you wanted to make bronze, you had no choice but to trade, often over incredible distances. This one single need sparked the creation of vast trade networks, connecting civilizations that it never met.
The thirst for bronze basically pulled the world closer together.
The Bronze Age dominated human history for nearly 2,000 years. But, nothing lasts forever, and a new technology eventually took its place. Understanding why it ended helps us see its true place in history.
You can really think of the Bronze Age as this critical bridge. It was the era where we mastered the art of making alloys, and that skill, that knowledge, paved the way for the next great material to take over: iron.
So why the switch to iron? Well, it really just came down to availability. Bronze's biggest weakness was its dependence on that rare, expensive tin. Iron ore, on the other hand, is one of the most common elements on the planet. It's everywhere. Now, it was much harder to work with at first, but once people cracked the code, they could make a stronger material for a lot cheaper. It was a no-brainer.
And this really gets us to the ultimate takeaway. The story of bronze proves that the materials we use are not just background noise. They are the engine of history. They actively shape our economies, our politics, our wars, and our art. They are a fundamental force that drives civilization forward.
So, I'll leave you with a final thought. An entire era of human history is named after bronze because its impact was just that profound. When we look around our world today, at the silicon, the lithium, the carbon fiber, it makes you wonder, right? What material will future historians say defined our age?